If a woman's words suddenly feel distant but polite, calm but hollow, this is where men usually doubt themselves. They think they're overthinking. They tell themselves not to be paranoid. And that hesitation is exactly where clarity is lost. Because when a woman emotionally detaches, she rarely announces it. She softens her language. She chooses words that protect her self image while quietly creating distance from you. I'm not here to feed insecurity, I'm here to sharpen perception. As a psychologist, I've watched this pattern repeat across cultures, ages, and relationship stages. When a woman begins investing her intimacy elsewhere, the shift shows up in language long before behavior becomes obvious. Not because she's trying to deceive you, but because her nervous system is already reorganizing loyalty. One phrase you'll hear is, "I just need space right now." On the surface, it sounds reasonable, healthy, even. But context matters. When space comes with emotional withdrawal instead of transparency, it's not about rest. It's about compartmentalization. She's separating worlds so they don't collide. You feel it as confusion. She feels it as control. Another phrase is, "you're overthinking." This isn't always gaslighting, but it is deflection. When a woman knows something has shifted and doesn't want to confront it, minimizing your perception protects her from internal conflict. The more calmly she says it, the more resolved the shift already is. Then there's, "I've just been really busy lately." Notice the lack of specifics. Busy doing what? With whom? Vagueness is emotional insulation. When a woman is fully invested in you, she wants you inside her life, not outside guessing at it. Ambiguity is distance dressed as courtesy. Here's the hard truth. Women don't juggle emotional realities well. When they're pulled towards someone new, their language becomes lighter, safer, less intimate with the person they're moving away from. You're not imagining it. You're noticing a pattern your intuition recognizes before your logic catches up. The goal here is not accusation, it's awareness. Men who trust their perception early don't spiral later. And that awareness begins by listening not just to what she says, but how she says it and what suddenly disappeared from her words. Let's go deeper, because the most revealing words aren't dramatic, they're neutral. One phrase that appears often is, "I'm just trying to figure things out." This sounds introspective, even mature, but psychologically, it often signals a transition phase. She's already emotionally leaning elsewhere and buying herself time to justify it internally. Another phrase is, "I don't want to hurt you." Men hear this and think it means she still cares, and she does, but not in the way you hope. This sentence usually appears when her actions are already misaligned with her values. It's a preemptive apology, not for what she might do, but for what she's already allowing herself to feel. Then comes, "I need to focus on myself." This is one of the most misunderstood phrases in modern dating. Focusing on oneself doesn't mean isolation. It means reallocation of energy. When that energy is no longer flowing toward you, it's flowing somewhere else, even if she hasn't fully admitted it yet. Here's what men get wrong. They respond to these phrases with reassurance, logic, and patience. They think stability will restore connection, but attraction doesn't respond to management. It responds to polarity and truth. When you ignore your own discomfort to keep peace, you teach her that your boundaries are flexible and attraction weakens further. Women are loyal to emotional alignment. When that alignment shifts, language becomes non-confrontational, softened, and vague. Not because she wants to lie, but because she wants to avoid collapse, hers or yours. If you hear these phrases paired with reduced affection, shorter responses, and less curiosity about your life, the pattern is already forming. This is not the moment to interrogate. It's the moment to observe, calmly, clearly, without fear. Awareness is power, and power doesn't chase explanations. It watches behavior align or drift. The man who remains grounded here doesn't lose himself trying to hold on to something that's already moving. Now let's talk about the most dangerous phrase of all, because it sounds reassuring. "Nothing is going on." When said with warmth and openness, it can be true. When said flatly, defensively, or repeatedly, it's a psychological wall. Not a lie necessarily, but a refusal to let you in. At this stage, men often feel an internal split. One part wants to trust, the other feels something is wrong. That tension is exhausting, and many men resolve it by silencing their intuition. They tell themselves they're insecure, they stay quiet, and in doing so, they abandon themselves. Here's what I want you to understand. Intuition isn't paranoia when it's calm. If you're noticing patterns without emotional spikes, that's perception. When a woman is emotionally elsewhere, her language becomes less personal, less future oriented, less vulnerable. She stops using we and starts using I. That shift is subtle, but profound. The mistake men make is trying to compete with what they don't see. They become nicer, more available, more accommodating. But attraction doesn't respond to increase, it responds to alignment. And alignment can't be forced. If she's investing intimacy elsewhere, your job is not to uncover details. It's to decide whether the connection you're in still meets your standards. Calm self respect is more powerful than confrontation, and walking away from ambiguity with dignity does more than any argument ever could. You don't need proof to honor your boundaries. You need clarity and the courage to trust what you're already noticing. Let me leave you with something grounding. This video isn't about catching someone in the act. It's about teaching you to stay loyal to yourself when emotional consistency disappears. Because the men who suffer most aren't the ones who are left, they're the ones who stay while slowly being erased. Words reveal priorities. Language reveals investment. And when intimacy moves, language follows. Your power lies in listening without denial, responding without fear, and choosing yourself without drama. So here's the question I want you to answer honestly in the comments. What was the first phrase you ignored that your intuition warned you about, and why did you ignore it? If this helped you see more clearly, like the video so more men hear what they were never taught. Subscribe for deeper insights into female psychology, dating dynamics, and emotional self-mastery. And share this with one friend who needs clarity before confusion turns into regret.